Okay, now we are officially live, Judith. So welcome. The very first session of the day for me on the Joy of Life stage. I'd like to welcome everyone back. I'm sitting here in Siets Utrecht, who very kindly offered us this entire room, which you can't see. I'm really happy with them because now it looks like I have a very clean orange background instead of just a messy room. So I'm grateful for that. We're back online. Today is going to be a great day with great speakers, and we're starting off with Judith, who is live with us here today. So Judith, you call yourself a human talent enabler, and you're interested to see what makes people tick, right?
Definitely, yes.
So
yes.
I also read that you're an entrepreneur, and you inspire people in organizations and education to free their talents and become more valuable. So I was hoping that in today's session, you will be willing to share with us a way to unlock this potential in organizations and maybe how you do this and how you approach this, and perhaps even a little bit about yourself as well.
Well, that's exactly what I'm going to do. So
Great.
That's good.
Perfect.
Yes. Well, go to my presentation.
Your slides are live now.
Yes. Well, this presentation is I've named Unboxing Talents, and in Dutch I have a different title, but it's very strange if I translate it. So so it has to do something with puzzle pieces. That's the logo besides the title. And I discovered in my career as a human resource advisor, which I've been for 12 years, that a lot of potential in people and in organization is boxed, and of course that has a reason. And I found out by myself. Of course, I'm also my own study object. And I, of course, looked at a lot of people and advised a lot of people in that organizations. I've been working in 12 different organizations in those 12 years, so I've seen a lot of people in there, and that nobody ever fits into the box that someone defined for them. So.
Right.
I found out there are a couple of questions that I can ask to unbox, to unleash the talent within. So I wanted to start off with my main message, and that's I want you to dare to stand in your own place and live your full potential, because I really feel that's the purpose of life, that you are supposed to use all the talents that you have and see that you're totally unique with your own unique talent mix. There's no one just like you. And just to recognize all that and to see all that, you have to discover your own value and choose consciously which job you're going to take, which task you're going to perform, how you're going to use your talents in work, because work is a very large amount of time in your week and in your life. So work is for me a very good way to express yourself and to use the talents that you were given. So that's my main message. I also discovered that a lot of people don't do that. So why don't we do that? And if I'm talking about this, I discovered this myself, and not only looking at other people. So I've been felt blocked, and I didn't have a good view of myself, and I was super critical of myself, and a lot of people with me. So I saw there is. Of course, the time we're living in right now is totally different than the time our parents lived in and their parents lived in. And they learned such different things about work. They learned that they have to do hard work and they have to have bread on the table. So that's how we call it in Dutch. And it doesn't really matter what you're doing as long as you just get the bread on the table. So things like how to be happy in your job, and to use your talents and to get satisfaction out of it, and to live your purpose. That weren't words they used, and they didn't hear them from their parents. So of course, this is our programming actually.
So it's only recent, you say?
What do you say?
It's only a recent development, actually.
It is a recent development, yes, and I like to point this out, because a lot of people think, how does it come that we're feeling so blocked and so super critical, etc. But it's very logical if you put it in timeline.
Right.
So it's quite a recent development that people are much more busy with getting happy out of their job and being fulfilled and living their purpose. So that's I think about maybe 30, 40 years or so, maybe even shorter.
It's a good thing.
So, yeah. Yeah. You want to ask a question, Simon? I can't see.
I said that's a good thing. I guess I've talked about this with my mom actually, and she phrased it in a different way, because she said nowadays everyone's so desperate to try to find happiness and feels like they can do anything, and they're almost stressed. That's her perspective, that people are almost stressed because they don't know what to do. While back in her day, people just did it and then found some satisfaction in it. So I was wondering what you think of this as well.
Yeah, that's interesting, and I see the same trend, that it's like a new way of living, to find you have to find your purpose, and you have to find out what you want to do and what to become, and etc. But I find the angle I'm approaching is that you have to discover in yourself what makes you tick. What does your talent mean to other people?
Right.
What can you do with more ease? And how can you see your own value more and not chase happiness? So I'm not looking for happiness in like you have to get happy in your work, but I do feel that you were given the talents that you have to use them. So why would you otherwise have them? That's my opinion, and I feel that we're obliged to find out what they are and use them, and that's actually a way to create more happiness, but in a very organic, soft, not we have to get it, like not that way. So I hope that answers your question a bit.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
While I was working in HR in all of those organizations, this was the picture I received on day one. This is what our organization looks like. And it's I worked in all different kind of organizations, but funny enough, actually, I found it just every time I got one of these, I found it more funny. Because they all look the same. And everybody, every organization told me, well, we're so different.
Right.
Right. In theory, they're not different. So they organize in this way. And I now work as an entrepreneur, and also I'm liaised to Partup, an organization which I will speak about later. I lost my my thing.
Do you do it differently in your startup? Or do you use a similar model?
Yeah. We do it totally different. We don't have job descriptions, for instance. So that's a good start. So we are a totally talent-driven organization. So and that it is possible to organize yourself in that way, but it also depends on how you look at people. So what I discovered is that the boxes on this picture, everybody wants to fit in. You're supposed to fit in, like this is the job description. So from employee side, you want to fit in, and from the organizational side, it's also very handy if you fit in, because then we get everything organized. So there's a two-way pressure to fit in.
Is this
So
only with big companies, by the way? Because I can imagine they really need something like this instead of a small company where you know everyone.
If it gets bigger than about 50 people, then it's already big.
Yeah.
So then this problem arises. So it's not really big. Like 50, it's not so big. Like over 30, you don't know everybody anymore. So I wanted to show with this a small cartoon what happens when you start working. So you're very happy, you get born, and you graduate from school, and then you look at all the job descriptions and the vacancies, and you see one, and you think, well, I'm going to apply for that, but I have to do something at my own expense. It's a bit bloody. But this is actually what happens a lot, and that's why I wanted to show this, because it's very visual, and you almost feel what's happening. I feel that a lot of people are letting their talents be at home in their barn or something. I don't know, just letting them behind. And just putting a small piece of yourself into the work. And I feel that it's very, how do you say that?
Well, it's a shame.
Yeah,
right?
it's a shame. It is a shame, and it's not what we have to do, I think. And what the effect is of letting that you want to fit in that much is that you it gets really how do you say that, schurend on the insides, like something is missing, and you get the influence you have on your own work feels boxed. So you get in the box, and that are the borders that you where your talent is going. So a lot of talent is missing, of course, and you have to also do a lot of things that are not in the line of your talents. So you just have to do them because they're in your job description.
Right.
And those are the two things I find very interesting, and that's where the two questions are also about. And the unboxing I'm talking about is stop comparing yourself to others, and really find your own uniqueness and accept exactly the way you are. Because if you don't, and you try to fit in at the expense of yourself, you're really wasting time and energy. And so that's why it's not really effective, actually. And of course, you think that you get to be valuable, and that people appreciate you, and that you get a nice salary, etc. But still, there's something inside of you which says, "Well, I'm not using everything I have, and I'm not." Getting everything out of me, which is in me.
And that's a
very
feeling, I guess.
nasty
right?
feeling. What do you say?
Well, I wanted to ask if that's just a feeling. There's no clear signal, but it's just something within you, I guess.
Yeah, it is. It is a feeling, and there are a lot of signals. So I'm coming to that.
Okay.
Just yeah. Because of course we don't always feel what that feeling, but there are signals to see. So you have to of course have something that can give you the signal. What there's something going on. And I like to use the puzzle as a metaphor for this vision, because a puzzle piece is also just like a box, but it has two different things. Some pieces are sticking out, and there's also some pieces which make a small hole of it. And that I found very interesting. That you can use the puzzle as a way to create movement in yourself and change some things in your job, or actually more in your mindset first. So. And I start with creating space, and this of course is a man who's saying, "Well, I no, no," and we didn't learn very well to say no, especially not to bosses. They have a certain authority, and the idea of saying no to them really gets you scared that you might lose your job if you might say no to something.
Right.
It's a very deep fear. And of course, my question is actually exactly about that. Dare to say no, and the insertions of the puzzle piece are the pieces you want to get out of your job description. A lot of activities you are doing in your job, they don't give you that much energy. They drain you, actually. You don't like them. You really think about them, like, can I just stop with them? Is that possible? Most of the time you think about it that it's not possible, but I'm going to invite you to do otherwise just now. And for me, for instance, it was to write policies, HR policies, and I really didn't like that. I'm a very practical person, and to write policies, it was not my thing. So I had to do a piece about 20 pages, I think, about a topic, and I only got to one page. And more of the big lines, and not all the details. So that was not a very nice activity in my job description. But in every job I had, which was an HR advisor everywhere, there was this task. So I had the problem with that, because, well, of course I can do it, but it takes a lot of energy, a lot of time. The quality isn't that really good. I think someone else can do it better.
Mm-hmm.
And that is true. And there are people who like what I don't like. And that's a very a big mind shift for a lot of people, because they think that what you don't like, that nobody likes it. Like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a crappy piece of work, and I don't want to do it, and nobody wants to do it. So that's why everybody's just keeping it to themselves, because they think nobody's going to do it. So the first question was talking about unboxing yourself and unboxing talents. And the first question to do so is, what activity would you rather stop doing right away if it was possible? So I want you to get in a bit of dream state and think about that. So maybe Simon, you can answer it for yourself. That's a nice interaction.
Yeah, I have an answer right away, actually.
Oh, that's great.
Which is for this event, because I love Campus Party, and I really love talking here with you and hosting this and getting in touch with people. I even love sending the emails and keeping in touch and getting everything ready. But what I really did not like was entering all the speaker and talk information into the system. So it's a system almost like Excel, where you have to enter the first name, last name, description, but then 80 times. And, I did do it, of course, because otherwise I felt like I couldn't talk to you and it needed to be done. But if there was someone else who was willing to enter these 80 people in there for me, no, that would have been absolutely great.
Yeah, well, that's very honest of you, and that's exactly the honesty I want to invite with this question, because everybody I know for sure, and I've been doing this for about 7 years with small groups, large groups, in full theaters, etc. And everybody can think of something, and that is actually great. Because it's if you really think, well, it's possible that somebody else could really love this, and I could let it go. That would do what for you?
If I didn't have to do this anymore.
Yeah.
Well, that would open up maybe just a bit more space to talk to more people and do what I really like, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So that's exactly what it's doing. It's creating space. So I told already which effect do all the no's have on you. So these are all the signals you could see for yourself. They really cost a lot of energy and time. So that's why you just have an answer right away, because you know what cost you a lot of energy and time. You just signal that in yourself. The quality of the task is probably less than it's possible. So somebody else could do it probably better than you.
I agree.
And you know it. You feel bad about yourself because you rather spend your time on other stuff that you do like. So that's a signal, like, oh, I want to do other stuff. Oh, I want that. So you keep hearing that small voice inside of you, and you feel you don't have enough time and energy to do the rest of your work, because if it's only, even if it's just a task that you can do in an hour, you could really not look forward to it and postpone it in your agenda, and be aware of, you have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this, that it really drains you to do other stuff as well.
Mm-hmm.
And the more you have of these no's, the more that's going on. So you get tired and unmotivated in the whole line, and not only for that small task. And even the worst effect is that your confidence drops, because it's and what I said, if you have more of these activities, like you have about 5 or maybe even more, which you don't like, which you don't look up to, like, oh, I look forward to, your confidence over the whole line, over the whole job, drops, and the rest of your work results too. So a lot of the time, people are just going forward with what they have to do. It's like a sense of, okay, I just have to do it. You said it also in your answer. I know I have to do it. So they don't really stop and have a look at it to see if something else is possible. And I discovered that a lot is possible. So I did this myself, like the HR policy writing, for instance. This is in the how do you say it? The priority of things. So first of all, you can look at it and discuss, even if it has to be done anyway. Sometimes we're doing stuff in our work that's not really necessary. And it's nice to just stand still and see if it's possible to stop. Well, of course, it's not always possible to stop, but maybe it's possible to ask someone else. So you said it already in your answer, Simon. Well, maybe I can ask someone else. Well, yes, that's definitely possible. In the task you just mentioned, it's definitely possible that someone else could do that. And of course, if you ask for it, someone with energy will say yes to this. Someone who loves to do this. So, and this is the mindset shift. There is someone who loves to do this task, even if you don't.
Yeah, it's almost hard to imagine.
Yeah, it's really hard to imagine. I know, but still it is, and it's very funny. I was talking to speaking at a conference for secretaries, and they of course have to. I thought everybody did that in that job position, but that's not the case. They have to write down the memos of the meetings and stuff. So. I don't know the exact English word for it in Dutch. It's notuleren. And I thought, well, everybody has that in their job description. So, but that wasn't the case. So I was asking about this and talking about this subject. And some people said, well, I really, really hate that. And of course, I asked the question in the audience, does somebody love that? And yes, a lot of hands went up. So there were about 200 people, I think, and I think maybe 50 or something. They put their hands up, and the rest didn't. So sometimes it's so very nearby that somebody else loves it, even though you don't.
Yeah.
So it's very easy to see if somebody else is able to do it and willing to do it and even loves to do it. And even if that is not possible, there is maybe another possibility to find a way to do the same task with less energy and less time, to simplify it. And I did that, for instance, with my administration, which I don't really like to do as an entrepreneur, but I have to. So I can't stop it. Of course, I can find an accountant to do it for me, but I also like to have a nice overview for myself. So I'm not doing that. But simplifying, I could do. So I bought how do you say that, a package where I could do my administration in and do it in a very simple way, even have an app for it to scan my my notes and stuff. So it's now a very easy way, and I'm ready in I think an hour with the whole administration. Yeah. So I found a way to simplify it so it costs less energy and time for me. So these are the things you can do with them, and that they create a lot of space to do other stuff, which you do like. And I have one example which I want to share. I was leading a team building session within a ministry here in Holland, and one of the employees, she was organizing an event every year, and she loved to organize the events, and she was really good in the background stuff and everything. She liked the Excel, Simon. So yeah, really. Really, they exist. And so she went through the whole stage, and she did that year after year after year. But there was one task that she totally hated of this event, and she was really not looking forward to it, and it drained her energy during the whole time she was busy with that, because she knew that that moment was coming. And maybe you can guess it already.
What was it?
She had to get on stage.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and she totally hated that.
I see.
So she was like the host of the event, and the terrible thing about it was that she discussed it with her boss. Like, I don't really like this. And the boss told her, but you are very good at it.
But she didn't like it.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, this happens a lot of the time, that you are good at it, or at least it looks like you're good at it, but internally, so in you hate it.
And so there are different skills as well, right? Planning and hosting are completely different.
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, so I wanted to say that there are obviously different skills as well. There are different types of talents. I mean, people behind the scenes planning and organizing are not always great hosts.
No, exactly. So and the other way around as well.
Yeah, of course.
I'm terrible at administration. And I love to be on stage. So it's it are different talent sets. That's totally true. But still, it of course it all has to do with how secure are you about I don't want to do this. I really don't want to do this. I am saying no to this. But that's why the mindset switch is so important. That you can see that somebody else would thrive on this. And that was exactly what happened in the team building session. Like she told all her colleagues and her boss, who was also present, of course, that she really didn't want to do this anymore. And that was so, she said it in such a firm way that everybody heard her. So that's also an important stuff. I can do a whole masterclass on that. How do you really feel that firm inside so everybody hears you? And what happened right away was a colleague of her really jumped off her chair, and she said, "Really, you don't like that? I love that."
Wow, perfect.
Yeah, and that happens all the time. So it's most of the times it's so very nearby, even in your own department, that somebody else loves what you don't love, what you hate.
So it's a lot about communication as well, about being open about how you feel in your work.
Definitely, yeah. I'm pro openness. Yes,
of course.
So if you're not communicating about it, nobody knows.
Yeah.
So you really do have to tell about it. Yes. And the really nice thing of making space and doing something with that, know that you're really feeling internally very strong about. It lets your natural talents thrive more. So it gives you space to do things you do love. And I'm especially interested in the natural talents. That's why I say natural talents and not only talents. So I have the second question to unleash all that potential inside of you. And I found out that a lot of talents are so normal for ourselves that we just don't see them very good. So that's why the question is about what talents have others awarded you with. Now, what did other people in your career, or maybe in your school, or maybe even in sports or whatever, Taryn? That doesn't really matter. What did people tell you? Which talents they see in you? And especially a nice addition to the question is that not only what talent did they see you do or have, what was the effect on them? And I always like to give examples out of my own experience. And a lot of people told me, even when I was younger, that I was very enthusiastic. And that was the first thing they said to me. "Oh, you're very spontaneous and enthusiastic." And I didn't really see that as a talent. I thought, well, yeah, okay. Well, nice, okay. Yeah. I really didn't know what to do with that. And later on, when I became an entrepreneur and also became a public speaker, people started sharing with me what the effect was of that enthusiasm on them. And that was interesting because they said to me, oh, you're so enthusiastic about what you're telling. I really believe you, and it has the effect on me that I want to discover more about myself too. I want to get in action. I want to do something about this. I feel a lot of no's. I feel also a lot of yeses, and I'm not doing anything with them. So I want to do something. So I had the effect that they get in action. So that was a very interesting thing, because at that point, I saw that it really was a talent, and that it has a certain effect. And it obliged me also to do something with it, to use that much more in what I'm doing. And as an HR advisor, I couldn't do a lot of stuff with this. Actually, I had a lot of one-on-one conversations, and well, it didn't really. So once I became a public speaker and gave workshops and stuff, I saw that it can light up a fire in a lot of people, and I started to also name myself like that, like a fire starter or something like that.
Right. Do you
So
also do you feel like these are, we called them natural talents before?
yeah,
Do you
yeah,
think you're born with these talents? They're
yeah,
really in you, like
yeah,
personality traits, or are they something you develop?
yeah. No, it's in you. If you wake up, it's in you.
Hmm.
So you don't even have to just someone who asked you to if I just wake up and somebody tells, well, can you give a lecture in an hour for a lot of people, whatever, about the subject I love, of course, I would say yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's that easy. So it doesn't ask so much preparation. It's just where your energy goes. So that's why I connect them to the bulges of the puzzle piece. They go out of what is asked in your normal job description, and that's where your energy is going. And of course there is stuff what you can do with your yeses, and the first thing is also also communicating. So talk about it, let people know where you would love to go, what you would like to do. When I first started speaking on stages, of course I didn't have a lot of experience, but you have to start somewhere. So I told people I would like to share more of my stories, and I made myself a promise. Once a month I want to talk about it. I don't mind how many people there in front of me, but I just want to talk about it. So, and I wanted to give myself more experience. So of course I said, hey, you were born with it, but that doesn't mean that you don't that you're not that you cannot develop it. Of course you can develop it, because I also had a lot of insecurities, and I met them a lot.
Of course.
doing what I also love to do. So it was a bit controversial. On one hand, I was very insecure about it because I didn't have a lot of experience. But on the other hand, I was very much torn towards it. Like, you have to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the more of your work you can do with that ease, like using your natural talents, the more you can enjoy what you're doing. And if you also find a way to organize your nose in a different way, then you get to enjoy much more of your work and get it done with much more ease. So this one is about letting in that work can also be easy. And that's something we didn't learn from our parents. It should be hard and maybe a bit boring, and maybe stupid, and energy draining, and time consuming, etc. So this is also a very big shift in our minds and in our systems. And it's also possible to regularly evaluate what you're doing, and if you're using your yeses enough. And I'm very curious now, Simon, if you already know one of your yeses. Did somebody tell you what you're good at, like which you thought, well, that's not so special?
Well, actually, when I saw the slide, I of course immediately started thinking about this, and
Great.
it was very hard actually, because you're not, at least I'm not completely used to these types of questions, like really reflecting on yourself in this way.
Yeah.
But the first thing that came to mind was that I, well, maybe a little bit like you, tend to be very passionate about things to sometimes an insane degree. So my girlfriend sometimes calls me a puppy, and she's like, you know, every time you see a new thing, you're like, oh, this is the best thing ever. And I meet a new person, and like, oh, this is the greatest man or woman that's ever lived. Which is a bit insane, but it's also, you know, I'd rather have 100 things I love and then pick one or two than the other way around. So I've come to really accept this in me, and I really like it now. But I used to think, you know, like
that are the
stages.
Acceptance, and then like and loving it. Nice. And so you really have to take care of yourself and see that there is enough passion in your work. There is enough to be passionate about.
Yeah, it's going well with me, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I feel the connection, and I feel that you're very passionate about what you're doing. And I don't even know what you're doing besides the hosting of this event, but I feel it. So that's funny, isn't it?
That's great.
I feel you're quite happy with what you're doing. So that's interesting, and still there is also always a lot of learning, and always it's very nice to reflect on yourself and evaluate regularly. Am I still on the right path?
Yeah.
Am I doing enough of what makes me passionate, and am I enjoying myself and working with ease, and is that what I'm doing?
Maybe one quick example from my own life earlier was when I was working in a big company, and it started off like a lot of fun, and at the end it was still a lot of fun, but I somehow started to get into a lot more meetings because people, you know, got to know me a little bit better, and then all of a sudden I had a week where almost every day I had 6 hours of meetings, and you know, I'm a creative person, so I wanted to make things. I was stuck in these meetings in which I had no place whatsoever. I would say 2 sentences. I was thinking, this is not something I want to do. You know, there's completely no use. Like you said in the beginning, it was draining a little bit because all you're thinking about is the stuff you actually want to do. But it does feel like it's part of it, right? Because otherwise, oh, maybe people won't give me jobs anymore, or maybe I won't have. So it's strange how that happens. It happens slowly as well. It was
I know, and I find it very concerning that it happens to almost everybody, even if you're very young and just a student like, and everybody has the same experience with this. And I cannot say no to my boss that I don't want to attend that meeting, because I don't know the consequences of that. So it's a very human experience. Of all ages.
I did do it in the end, by the way.
You did?
I talked to my boss about it, and the funny thing is that once you mentioned it, he was super helpful, and he just switched everything around. So, you know, it's not really the manager's fault either if you're not sharing it. Once I mentioned it, he was like, oh, yeah, we can just put you on this project. You have more time for yourself. That's fine. I want you to be happy. So it was really my own fault, you know?
Well, it is, and that's why I'm inviting a lot of people. Hopefully, I can inspire them by sharing this, that it is possible, and the reaction you received, I received that every time again. So I was also an interim advisor for about 5 years before I started my own business. And I came in the door, and I told the boss, or the person I was talking to, that, well, this is what I'm good at, and this is what I'm not good at, and I don't like. So it's really not a good idea to have me do that a lot, because I'm not good at it, and I cost about I think it was 125 euros an hour at that time. So it's also business wise not a good idea to let me do that. There are people that are much better in that. And actually, I was received in a very positive way, because they knew exactly what they got. So it's very clear to sell yourself in that way. And I also talk myself out of meetings with the same argumentation. Like it's a shame that I'm sitting here, because I'm not talking along. It's not my subject. I'm just sitting here, and I'm sitting here for maybe even 6 hours a day, in your example. And I could do a lot of other stuff, which I can value the organization a lot more.
Yeah.
So that was an argumentation that nobody ever argued with me about. So they just heard me and said, yeah, well, that sounds smart. So that's it's so funny that you feel very awkward and strange and anxious, maybe even to let them know. And once you did, that everybody's happy.
Yeah, exactly. You walk out saying, why didn't I do this earlier?
Exactly. So that's why I hope to get this engine running in everybody who sees this, like, oh, there's much more possible than I thought. And I feel that we have to put the puzzle together by being your own puzzle piece. So if you don't acknowledge, well, this is my piece, this is where I'm good at, and this is where I'm not good at, then you're not standing on your own puzzle piece, and it's not possible to make a good puzzle. So you're actually blocking the organization to thrive, and yourself as well, of course, but also the organization. So don't forget that. So that's for even for you, it's a better idea, but it's also for the organization a much better idea to really step into your own place and see your own value. And of course, that is work in progress. So that's not like, oh, tomorrow I see everything and now I know. But it is a work in progress. I think I maybe 10 years or 5 years, I rediscovered myself as an entrepreneur and see what kind of talents there are in me and wanted to get out, which I totally didn't use as an HR advisor. For instance, the speaking part, there was no space for that in that position.
Oh.
I was a project manager, and well, that wasn't normally in the job description as well. But I really love to do that. So someone asked me, "Do you want to do this?" And from within, there was a really strong yes. And from that yes, I said, well, I have to do it then. Also, don't do some stuff which I have to do. So this is exactly the way this whole vision started, by me getting asked to be a project manager. And feeling a really big yes about it, and then thinking, well, I can do that, but that's the project is about half a year, and then I also have to do a lot of other stuff. Which stuff don't I like, and which stuff can be done by somebody else who does like it. And in that way we can connect to each other as puzzle pieces, instead of being the boxes and I have to do this and just go on with it, and even if it's not good and blah blah blah. So that's So I started to communicate, like, I don't want to do this anymore for half a year. And a colleague of mine said, "Oh, really? Let me take it on." So everybody was happy, and the boss, the only concern that the boss has is that it is done, that the work is done. It doesn't really matter who does it. That the work is done, and that it's done in a right way. So can you imagine that that organizations are in some while? I think it's going to take a bit. Because we have to get loose of all those other mindset stuff, which is programmed in our system by our parents, and they got it programmed by their parents, etc. So we have to get really free from that. Organizations being organized as a puzzle, and people are using the talents to the max because they have the freedom to do that. What kind of flexibility it would create for the company and also for the employees? Maybe even the boundaries of the companies disappear. It could be, and this is exactly what I facilitate with Partup, one of the organization I'm connected to as an entrepreneur. And I would like to show just a small feature because I'm very enthusiastic about it. Part of, in a nutshell, is that we share work on a platform across the borders of function of job descriptions, of departments, and maybe even of organizations. We're seeing such some examples of that. Unboxing talents that way and unleashing potential. And we get, you see the results. People are so much happier what they're doing and getting better results that way. And of course, we really would like to spread the word about that. So I made a small picture of the tool we use for that. So we put work on the platform, and we share it through an app like this, and everybody could get possibilities to do other stuff than you're supposed to do in your job description in your back pocket. So the tool sends tasks and activities to your phone that maybe can match your talents. And so you can do other stuff, maybe even more yeses in your job than what is than what is normally in there. And you can also, and that's why I'm very enthusiastic about it, you can also put work on it yourself. So maybe the no's that you don't want to do, like the administration and the Excel thing you were talking about, Simon, you can put it on the platform, and somebody else could pick it up. So you don't even have to share it verbally to your colleague. It's a digital way of sharing work.
Yeah.
So I came across Partup late last year, and I was like totally shocked that it was possible to put my vision into a platform like this. So you can really organize your yeses and your nos on this.
Is it accessible for everyone?
Well, an organization can access it. So our clients are organizations, and we see that a lot of organizations have a lot of trouble the boundaries they have in their organization are where they really need to get some more freedom. So there are sometimes a lot of different business units, and they don't communicate with each other. They have totally different employees, and they don't know each other. They don't even exchange work, or they know their names. Nothing like that. So you see that in the market, clients of that company, like facility services is an interesting example. Like a company who wants to hire facility services, and they want catering, and they want cleaning, and they want window cleaning, and etc. Maybe even security. And of course, the company they want to hire, they have that all, but they all have it organized in different business units. And they don't communicate with each other. So internally, they have a big problem to organize this, even though the client just wants the whole package.
Yeah.
It's an interesting trend which is going on. It's integrated facility management, it's called, and I like it because it's a very practical trend, and you can see the possibilities if you can organize it in a very simple way internally, and the clients of the companies will really benefit from that. So you see also a trend that a lot of employees are leaving the company because they don't like it anymore. They don't have other possibilities than their own job description to tell them to do. They go to other companies, and you lose your talent that way, and that's a very big problem for a lot of companies. So and also sick leave is a problem. So a lot of people get sick because they have too much no's in their job. It's a very big part of sick leave, that they just get drained too much. It's not always hard work what's the problem, but work that doesn't fit their talents.
Yeah, well, there are other people that would actually get energy from it. So I mean, I completely see your point. It makes a lot of sense, Judith.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's great. Yeah, for me too. It's great. It's great you get it. So I'm very enthusiastic to spread Partup and this vision, which I was spreading already before I met Partup. So that was the funny part of it. And I see life is one big workshop, so we can learn every day and grow every day and adjust every day and make choices every day. And I feel that we're obliged to discover our own value more and more and more every day, and use it. And the most important thing is say no and create space with that, because you are then saying yes to yourself, and be of so much more value than you doing stuff which doesn't value anybody actually.
Mm-hmm.
That's the strange part of it. So why am I doing this? That's a good question. So I hope to inspire everybody who is watching now and later on to say more yes to yourself and be more of value. And if you're running an organization, that you can organize your organization in this way, and you have gold in your hands. A lot of employees, a lot of talent, a lot of people who really want to make themselves of use, and that's also a really important thing to remember. Everybody, every person, really wants to make themselves at use.
Yeah,
that is something very human, and we tend to forget that. So we don't have to motivate people or pull them or tell them what to do, or that's really not necessary. Everybody really wants to make themselves of use.
I think the what I hope this talk inspires is for individuals, yes, to be more open about the stuff they don't like and what they actually want to do, where their talents are. But also on the other hand, on the management side, because as a good manager, I think you can really help people in this and say, hey, you just sit down for a moment and say, well, what do you like and what don't you like? Just like you are sort of leading me through it today. I think a good manager would also be able to do this with new or seasoned employees.
Yeah. I would love that, and I would like to see that performance management systems are exchanged for continuous conversations. about this. Not only once a year or twice a year, but on a regular basis, because you're interested in each other.
So if there's anyone, I'm afraid I already have to wrap it up because time flies. It's
When you're
already
having
11 o'clock. Is there any way people can reach you when they want to talk to you about this?
Yes, I put that on my last slide.
Perfect.
So you can contact me on different ways. My company's name is Pure Human, so purehuman.nl is the website you can go to, and then there you can see everything. Also my phone number, my website. Judithwebber.nl also works. So, and I also have my email address at Partup and Partup website put down. So if you're interested in what we're doing, and maybe you want this for the organization you work at, just contact me.
Well, thanks a lot, Judith. I hope some people feel inspired to really reflect a little bit. It's almost like we have some homework to do. I'm really inspired. I thank you a lot, and I'll be looking forward to the other sessions we'll have today. Maybe you can actually tune into some other sessions as well, because I think there might be some interesting talks. So thanks again. And I hope to keep in touch.
Yes, me too.
Goodbye.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.